pairs. Go for a nice walk by those ones. Right. I want to just try and sneak through if I can.
A plaque now hangs next door to the mighty Courtauld Stars stable where he used to live. 16 Grade 1 wins. Of course, I'm at Paul Nicholls. He used to be in here. Rocky Creek's there now. And Denman, well, they've both moved on. They've retired. We've still got Big Bucks in the yard. Let's see if we can tempt him over. He's been busy eating his haylage. We all look forward to him being back in action. Paul Nicholls and the team have also got the likes of Silvniaco Conti, Al Farov, Zarkanda, the established stars, plus young horses, Union East, who lives over there now, plus Rolling Aces, and the man with the biggest burdens over there, that's Rocky Creek, because of course he's in Courtauld Stars stable too. So you can see there's much to look forward to this season from Manor Farm Stables.
Rocky Creek at the last, reached for it, just smashed to the fence, but he came up well, and he came up clear.
As they race towards the gate and final flight. So Far West is over the last safely, clear of Handazan by about 8 or 9 lengths.
Wonderful charm and over about a length and a half ahead of Bears Affair, and now draws clear and does so pretty instantly in the hands of Daryl Jacob. What a natural on Chasing Debut, wonderful charm.
Big Buck sails over it, 5-3 mid-second with Restless Harry, and back in 4th place was Dynast. Thing is the name of the game for Big Bucks. 14 consecutive successes over hurdles.
So here he is, the main man, Big Bucks, record-breaking hurdler, and well documented. He was injured last season. He started back. How's he going at the moment?
Yeah, he's just started cantering. He's done a couple of months pre-training, as it were. Lots and lots of walking, lots of trotting up a Ditcheat Hill, and basically just sort of best part of 8 weeks groundwork, really. I never wanted to rush him. The idea is to have him ready to run, fit to run at probably the end of January. He wouldn't be ready before then. But very happy with him. He looks great.
Medically,
injuries healed up nicely. I mean, basically, it's a bit of wear and tear. But also, like, he's run as many times. Was it 18? He's won on the trot and had all those runs over fences in a few in France. You know, he was just showing a little bit of wear and probably a bit of time off for the horse who's done so much. Wouldn't have done him any harm at all. So we're very happy with him. Obviously, we monitor him every day, like we do all of them who've had problems. But there's no point making a definite plan. We'll just see how things unfold.
The intended plan, though, it would be to get a run
before the World Hurdle.
Before the World Hurdle.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the the worst thing in the world if he didn't. But I think as it also get older and a bit wiser, they just need a run to sharpen themselves up. And to win any race at Cheltenham, I think it'll be very, very hard, having been off for all that time. So if we can get a run into him, it would suit us well, and I'm sure we can. Trot round and warm up, canter around quietly, and just see what you do in the ground. We'll see you down there. Go with the lads. We'll see you down there. And you know where you're going. Go down there, Nickies. Walk back down. You just wait to walk 14. Let all the twos go. Down the Nickies. Just walk straight down, come back, down the bottom, we'll meet you down there, all right? And walk up and down outside, going with Donna. 2 lead out lane with David. If we just get a bit of rain, might school over fences in it. You're schooling second lot.
Traditionally, this row of stables is where all of John Hales's horses have been housed. Neptune Collonges, of course, the winner of this year's Grand National. And then now, currently, Al Farov, who won the Supreme Novice, was in 2011, and then won last season's Paddy Power Chase. And then you were off to the King George, but got injured, sadly. This year, that race, the King George, is his main target. Lovely to see Al Farov here today, canter up the hill. He had a lovely season last season, or at least winning the Paddy Power, and then unfortunately didn't make it.
Yeah, obviously, Mr. Hales would like him to run in the King George, and it looks an obvious race for him, albeit he hasn't run any further than the Paddy Power trip last year, which was 2 mile, 5.5 furlongs, which he got incredibly well. Yeah, it was a shame he got injured after that, but he's had a nice bit of time off. It was very, very minor injury, and it's probably paid into his hand to have some time off. He's fitting well now. He's been working quite hard. And the idea at the moment is to aim to run him at Ascot at the end of November over 2.5, which is a condition chase, which would be a nice prep then, nice starting point, and we'll just see where we go. But yeah, you'd like to think Kempton would suit him.
Yeah, so you feel that he could get the 3 miles there?
Well, yeah, it's you know, he's a speedy horse. He won a Supreme Novices. He ran very well in some good 2 mile races. It was great to see him get the trip so well, and he's bred to get 3 miles, but he hasn't as yet done it. But you know, if you're going to go anywhere to start with, really, and you haven't got many options of trials before the King George, so Ascot would suit. to have his first run, but it's not going to tell us that he'll get 3 miles. So we'll have to go into the race thinking or hoping that he does.
Are you happy with him?
Very happy. He looks great at the moment. I would say he's as good and as strong as he's been.
Conti, Silvignaco Conte. He's not running till the Betfair Chase now, so that's a definite target.
Well, Paul, this Silvignaco Conti is really a Gold Cup horse. He was going with great credit last year, travelling well and fell 3 out. I mean, he's a horse he's only 7. Where are you going to start him off this year? Will it be Haydock?
Yeah, I think we'll start off at Haydock with him in the Betfair Chase, which he won last year. Yeah, had a good season winning the Charlie Hall before that, and then won the Denman Chase. Obviously, was travelling well in the Gold Cup when he fell. And that's really the big target again this year is the Gold Cup.
Did he exceed your expectations last year? You've had him since he was a young horse. You know him well.
Well, he kept on improving, and we never imagined when we first bought him he was going to end up being a Gold Cup horse, but he just kept on improving, and his form last year was good, especially beating Long Run at Haydock. And yes, he was travelling extremely well in the Gold Cup, and he's a year older and stronger and hopefully wiser. You know, having had that fall, it's just sharpened his jumping up a little bit. And, yeah, you know, look forward to him running. And, you know, have to go on all the good races, Betfair, King George, those are the type of races to run him in.
OK, well, you stick to the sort of 3 or 4 main targets. But
I would have thought so. I definitely have an entry for the King George because, I mean, I think, you know, horses like him do well in that race. I wouldn't mind possibly a run at Cheltenham in the spring, perhaps in the Pillar Chase, just to give him one run around Cheltenham, having had that fall the other day, just for a bit of experience. So that might be a possible. But, you know, obviously the Betfair is a big target, the King George is a big target, and then the Gold Cup is. So that's where we're thinking at the moment.
Well, there's the list of Zarkandar's achievements, which include, most recently, as you can see there, winner of the Aintree Hurdle. That was last season. We'll just come in here, because he's going out second lot this morning. And Dawn rides him. What's he like?
A bit cheeky.
Is he?
Yeah. Nice ride, but he's a bit naughty sometimes.
Can he be strong? Because he's quite a small horse, isn't he? But he's obviously very speedy.
Strong, but he's a bit sharp. He'll be a bit sharp, definitely.
Well, he looks in great nick, so we're just going to have to find out what he's going to be up to this season, because he could very well go up in distance. So, Paul, we've got Zarkandar and Just a Par coming up here. Zarkandar, of course, the winner of the Aintree Hurdle. And just interested to see what he's going to do this year, whether you're going to step him up in trip, or what are his options? Yeah, well, he had a great season last year. He won, won twice at Wincanton over 2, and then he won over 2.5 at Aintree, and he won the International at Cheltenham as well. But I think we're going to start him off at Ascot this year over 2 mile 3 or 3.5. He won at Aintree over 2.5, and then see where we go from there. And it could be that we'll end up trying him over 3 miles at some stage. But he's certainly not slow. Well, this little horse is an absolute superstar and very popular. It's Celestial Halo, who ran the race of his life to come second in the World Hurdle. That was behind Solwit. And then he went on to win a Grade 2 in Auteuil. And we're going to have to find out the plan for him this season. Will he stick to the long-distance hurdles, I wonder? I think 3 miles ultimately is as far as he wants to go. When he won in Auteuil in the spring, it was 2 mile 5. I think 2.5, 2.6 on very testing grounds probably ideal. But, he did run a blinding race in the World Hurdle, and obviously he'll end up hopefully running in that again and pick up some of the sort of 3 mile sort of middle distance races along the route as runs for him. Could even look to go into Auteuil with him in November again. OK, so just France, or would you even cross over to Ireland and drop back, or probably not? I don't think I need to go to Ireland. I think there's enough races here. I mean, obviously Big Butts isn't going to be running in those 10 races till well into the spring, and there's a good race at Newbury, there's a long walk. There's going to be tough races this year. They'll be worth looking at, as well as, so there are some races in Auteuil which are worth an awful lot of money. Paul Nicholls always does well with his novice chasers, as was the case last year, though there are plenty who he believes will do better in their second season chasing.
They come towards the last. He jumps out to his left, Rocky Creek. He's very weary. Oublon des Obeaux won't go away. Rocky Creek is being punched out by Ruby, and Rocky Creek is going to get the money. Has outstayed them. Rocky Creek goes on to win it by 2.5 lengths. We are now with Rocky Creek, who's a fine big chasing sort, who had a really good season as a novice, Paul. Yeah. Second on his debut, jumped very nicely. Accidentally won 3 novice chases at Warwick. He won at Doncaster, and he also won the Randallstown at Ascot. Probably just a little bit over the top, and a wrong track when he ran at Aintree in the spring on better ground. Was a little bit outpaced. Had a nice long break, and I always thought second season chaser. He's got Hennessy written all over him, so
He won't run before the Hennessy. We'll try and have him as match fit as Denman was when he sort of ran in the Hennessy on his racecourse debut twice and won it. So, you know, go there, because it's sort of horse, if you go and win a race before the Hennessy, you're going to go up another 5 or 6.
What kind of mark would he have?
153, which will put him on the sort of early 10 stones if Tidal Bay runs, or another one of those top horses runs. Give him a racecourse gallop somewhere, and I always just thought Newbury'd suit him very well. Gallops and jumps.
Ground-wise, is he going to be okay if it...
He just wants cut in the ground. He wouldn't want it too quick. He's a big horse, heavy-topped horse, plenty of cut in the ground suits him. But, you know, hopefully somewhere along the line, albeit, you know, the Hennessy's a great race to start him in, but there's a number of horses it's a great race to start in, so it's always ultra-competitive, but I'm sure there's a nice staying chasing him, and again, I could see him being an entry horse one day.
He's just a horse who looks like he's going to get better and better with age. I remember as a novice hurdler, he just looked too lanky almost.
Big horse, but he's strengthening up now, stays well, and that's really jumps nicely.
So that's the news on all of Paul Nicholls' stable stars. Coming up, I meet the new team behind the scenes at Ditcheat and get the lowdown on the best of Paul's typically strong novice chase team. On the 27th of May, it was announced that Ruby Walsh and Paul Nicholls were to end one of jump racing's most successful partnerships. And with assistant trainer Dan Skelton setting up on his own, Nicholls now heads into the 2013-2014 season with some new faces on the staff roster at Ditcheat. Paul, for the last year, I think, a year or so, many people have seen it as a sort of changing of guard, both with horses and humans. That's not necessarily the case, you think jockey, assistant trainer, because it's been a very gradual thing, really, hasn't it? For the likes of Tom, who's now the assistant, he's been here for quite some time.
Yeah, he has. I mean, Cliff and I have known for obviously a number of years that Dan was going to get set up training on his own. So we had Tom Jonathan in place to, you know, for the last 3 years to shadow Dan, and he stepped straight into Dan's shoes. Same thing would happen with Darryl. Obviously, he's done very well. Ruby was only going to last a number of years, so Darryl stepped into his place, and we've got a good young team of jockeys behind them. So it's just like any business or any football team, anything. There's natural progression all the time. Nothing lasts forever, and you always got to be looking to the future. So Cliff and I have had our eye on that all the time, and it's just been natural, you know, changeover, really. It's just a different team, but everything's the same.
Your association with Darryl goes back
a number of years. He's been riding for us now, riding out for us for a long, long time, and you know, obviously he's done incredibly well, and he'll continue to do so.
And we've seen Harry in here today, obviously Harry Durham and Ryan Mann.
Yeah, you know, Harry Durham, he's done very well. He still claims. Ryan Mann, he's a very, very good schooling jockey, deserves a lot more chances, which he'll get. Nick Schofield's with us, and we've got some really good young lads, Jack Sherwood, Andrew Dorr, we've got Andreas. We've got some good team of lads that all get rides, but they've got to work their way through it, and you know, schooling days like this gets experience into them. But yeah, nothing's changed. As long as Cliff and I keep at it and everyone else follows us, we're okay.
Will it be weird in the big meetings being up against Ruby?
Well, of course it will, but there's lots of times, you know, when Ruby was riding for Willie. Anyway, you know, he wasn't riding, and we'd beat us and him, and he'd beat us, and there was different times he'd probably get off one of us to ride one of Willie's and he'd make the wrong choice and vice versa. It's always been like that, but you know, he's still a good pal, and we talk a lot, and it's been a pleasure to have him as a friend and have him as a jockey as long as it's lasted.
And of course you're no stranger to campaigning horses in Ireland, so you'll be going over there with Darryl and...
Well, you know, if I send some over and Ruby's free, Ruby will be the first person you'd ask, you know, because Darryl will be busy here. So, you know, there's lots of things we can do, and it's you know, the association with Ruby, with Dan, has been very good, but things don't last forever. People always move on, which is natural progression, you know.
So, Tom, you are officially the new assistant trainer, but I know that you've been sort of waiting in the ranks, if you like, or in the wings, and working way up through the ranks for quite some time, haven't you, here?
Yes, I've been here for 3 years now, just entering my fourth year as assistant, in Ditcheat, and my first year as assistant. I took over. I mean, everyone says it's, you know, new role, but if I'm starting to feel settled. I've been here. Dan left at the end of April, so that's 5 months now.
You've got some big shoes to fill if you think about the likes of Harry Fry and Dan Skelton. They're good guys that have gone on to do well.
Absolutely, yeah, big shoes to fill. They've done, you know, they've set the bar. But you know, Paul's at the top, and whilst he knows exactly what it takes to stay there, and I'm really looking forward to it.
But as far as, you know, you've been here a long time, haven't you, moving through the ranks, so what have you learned? How did you start? What position did you hold then, and how did you rise up?
Yeah, I started with Lucy Wadham in 2008, and I gathered, you know, really valuable experience with her. She's great. I, you know, really appreciated my time with her, and I did a short period in America as well, and then I applied to Paul, who was with before Harry had left actually, and just on the off chance, and yeah, I managed to get that job just as Harry was leaving as pupil assistant, and so that was beginning 2010, and then took over from Dan this season.
Funnily enough, it all sort of dropped into place quite nicely. I mean, obviously we knew Dan would move on one day, and we've had Tom for 3 years, so to be honest, Tom's just dropped straight into that role, and it worked quite well. And obviously Darryl now taking over as #1 jockey and things. It all works quite well, and we've got quite a few new members of staff and all that, but they've all dropped in nicely and just get on with their work, and it's handy.
And how do you feel at the start of the season now? Because in the past, I know there's an awful lot of pressure on your stable to be top dog, so to speak, in the title race. Is there a kind of different feeling, do you think, this year? More excitement and anticipation in a different way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, all those years we had all those good horses, Corto, Denman, Master and Big Bucks, and people expected us to win most things, and luckily we did with them. But obviously they're not here anymore, so, you know, it's a different expectation, but you know, hopefully we're going to bring a few nice young horses on and go on and win some nice races.
All right. Nice strong canter down, nice strong canter back, all right? Good strong canter down, good strong canter back. All right, listen, good strong canter down, good strong canter back. Just go, use the whole canter.
Paul, I think when everyone thinks of your stable and what you've achieved over the years, you tend to concentrate your efforts on producing really good novice chasers. The way that the races have been framed this year, there are more handicaps and less novice chasers. Is that going to pose a problem for you?
Listen, if you've got a large string of horses and you've got a lot of novice chasers, it's going to be a big headache. It's got harder and harder the last few years. And having a lot more novice handicaps this year is going to make life easy for life a lot harder for the top horses. Trying to get experience into them before you go on is going to be hard, because there's not the number of beginner chasers or winners of one chases that you can get that experience. You know, you've got to go and duck and dive and try and find a beginner chase somewhere before you have to go onto one of the big tracks, and it does make life very hard for some of those better horses. Gaining experience, because at the end of the day, if they're going to make good chases, they have to get experience. You know, and yes, you might get a few small races, but if these horses are going to make top chases, you have to get that experience, and it's all about the future for everybody, really, for the good of racing, that these horses get experience. And you know, I got a feeling that a number of 4-year-olds will end up staying a hurdling this season that probably could end up, especially if they're rated over 140, would normally have gone chasing. You'd try to get a couple of runs in smaller tracks and build their way up. They're better off staying hurdling than going chasing. So I hope that doesn't have a detrimental effect on some of the better chasers.
Irish State, the Adonis hurdle winner, and will you start him off hurdling? Is that the plan with him?
Yeah, and like we've said, a number of those 4-year-olds will probably start him off over hurdles. He can give novice chase any time, like one run over hurdles somewhere. We'll see where we go with him, and then again make a plan as to whether we stay hurdling or go chasing with him. He's a nice 4-year-old. A number of the ones we had last year had a great time. You know, he won the Adonis at Kempton. He won at Kempton before that. Ran second at Cheltenham, third at Aintree. It was a little bit over the top by Aintree. Again, he'd run all summer. You know, he had been in training in the France last summer, but he's done well during the summer. Did very, very well. And he'll be ready to run mid-November.
And trip-wise, will you keep him?
Start him at 2, but he will get further, definitely.
Salubrious is a novice chaser who falls into that bracket this year. He's a festival winner. What are his main aims going to be, or where are you going to start Salubrious?
He's ready to have a run in a beginner's chase or a novice chase somewhere in the next month or so. Again, he's rated quite highly, which makes life very difficult, so I haven't penciled anything in yet. We might have to travel for him, because it's important for these young horses like him to get some experience before you go too big with them. Otherwise you know, over-facing them too soon, and that can have a detrimental effect on their career. So get some experience somewhere, and hopefully he'll make a decent novice chaser.
And as far as trip-wise with him?
Well, he got 2 mile 5 well. I think that would be a good starting point. We'll definitely stay 3 miles in the future.
This is Petit Zig, who's a talented young horse, a talented young hurdler, but are you going to be off chasing with him this season?
At some stage. I mean, he's still inexperienced over hurdles, and he was jumping very novicey when he started, but he got better and better as the season went on. He won at Ludlow, was then third in the Fred Winter, won at Sandown and ran very well in a Grade 1 in O'Toy. He's done well over the summer. I suspect we'll give him 1 or 2 hurdle races and then look to go chasing. But ultimately, he's a big, scopy horse, and, you know, chasing is what will be his best. But just, you know, exhaust all the possibilities over hurdles first and see where we end up. Right.
What kind of targets? Have you got any in your head?
He'll have an entry for the Great Wood. The Elite at Wincanton might suit him. And again, there's a very nice race in O'Toy in November as well. So we'll pick and choose one of those.
As an individual, he just strikes me. He's got a bit of character, as you can probably see already. A real bit of presence about him, and he looks great.
Yes. I mean, he's a big, scopy horse. He's got Chaser written all over him, and he's done nothing but improve. He was a maiden when we bought him, and he's ended rated 145. So he's a nice type of horse.
Coming up, we remember a racing legend and unearth some potentially exciting French recruits.
Also Star at the last, a big and a fluent lead. Recording his 9th Grade 1 success. Winded in great style. Cotto Star back with a bag.
But they race up towards the line for King George's 2 Gold Cups, and he's regained the JN Wine to come chase for Paul Nicholls, Clive Smith and Ruby Walsh.
The plaques behind you tell you how good he was, winning what he did over all those years. Yeah, I miss him a bit, but things move on as everything else does. The most important thing is, as long as he's happy and well and all those things, that's the most important thing.
I know you're very close to Big Bucks. Are there any other horses in the yard that you're sort of forming a close association with?
I try not to get too close to any of them if I can help it, as we've got so many. But yeah, there's hopefully some really nice young horses, and I think that's what we're concentrating on more now, is bringing a few youngsters on to hopefully see if we can get one to do what the guy behind us did.
Rocky Creek's a horse I've always liked, actually, and he just really started to find his way, I think, last season as a novice chaser, which is good. He's housed in Quarto Star Stable. Was there any particular reason for that?
No, not really. I mean, the one thing about this front yard is they're all big boxes, so we need big horses to put in there. We decided to take all the plaques off the door because it just wasn't fair for a horse to have to look at them every day. So Rocky Creek's a good horse in his own right, so hopefully he'll put a few green plaques on there himself.
As well as an exciting team of novice chasers, Paul also has a whole host of high-class hurdlers likely to stick to the smaller obstacles for the time being.
Southfield Theatre, that's his Sapphire Row with Ryan Marn and a horse called Varun with Andrew Doyle on. He's a bit clumsy. He hasn't run over hurdles yet. And I mean, also like that, he'll end up having a school over fences in a minute. Sapphire Row, he's a horse who won a novice hurdle at Taunton the Soft. He's only a 4-year-old. Will probably run over hurdles and then end up chasing. Wants really soft ground, as does the horse behind Varun, who won a bumper in France and was third on his only start at Haydock. It's crazy, isn't it? Okay. All right. That was better in the end than the first time out, but that's ideal. We can keep doing plenty like that, plenty in the score. Can he jump a fence? All right. He knows what he's doing. He might run the weekend.
Far West has kicked 2.5 in front. He draws towards the last. He flew it. From in second, River May goes out after the younger horse. In behind them, in third is Bullet Street. But Far West, he might have caught him for toe. He has. It's up to the line. Far West, a smart performer, this 4-year-old. Far West goes on to win well.
Far West, he's a lovely young horse. This will be his second season hurdling, having done very well last year, runner-up in the Triumph. Where are you going to start him off this year? What's going to be the plan?
We haven't made a definite plan. I mean, he's took a little while to come to hand this year. He's done himself so well in the summer. But he could run possibly at Wincanton in the Elite Hurdle on the 9th of November, or possibly go to a toy the day after. There's a 4-year-old's only hurdle race worth a lot of money, and he's one of the better 4-year-olds hurdle. That might be a good race. So I suspect he'll go in one or other of those 2 races.
You've always liked him, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, he's done well. I mean, he won at Chepstow a year ago now, and then was progressive, winning Cheltenham twice in Ascot and winning second in the Triumph. you know, he's a decent horse. So I just hope we'll have another good season hurdling with him before we think about going chasing.
OK, well, I was going to say, you think all the possibility of him making up into, would he be a champion hurdle sort of horse, or would he be more of a stakes?
He needs to improve. He needs to improve on that. But then, you know, the second season he might do, after he's had a run or two, we'll know. But I suspect we'll give him a couple of runs over hurdles before we plan to go chasing anyway.
Running about a bit in front, just racing a little bit awkwardly, but leading by 4 lengths, just wandering slightly, but wins very well. Urubu de Lond beats Oscar Rock.
Urubu de Lond, lovely young horse, who was a bumper winner for you last year. What's going to be the plan with him?
He won his only point-to-point at the back end of his 4-year-old season for experience, then ran in a bumper at Taunton last year, beating Oscar Rock, which is top-class form. I think the next 5 behind him all won races afterwards, so that's high-class form. Unfortunately, just when we were about to get going, he had a bout of colic, so had to have surgery. Got over that very quickly and was cantering away in the spring, but we just thought it was too late to be winning races with him then. So he's due to make his debut over hurdles, probably start somewhere small and then work our way upwards. Mid-November he'll be ready.
Then there's the new recruits. As ever, Paul and his team have bought some smart young prospects from France. There's also 2 horses, actually, that ran in the same race against each other, Vincenzo Maio and Art Maresque.
Yeah, both 3-year-olds. I've sort of been with Anthony in September and we bought 7 or 8 3-year-olds like we did last year. The first one, Keltus, won at Chepstow. And we've got a nice team to run again for the winter of, as you said, Vincenzo Mio and Art Marisque. They're both nice horses. Art Marisque had run 3 times in the provinces, won all 3 races, went to Auteuil, ran very well and got beat by Vincenzo Mio, and I was lucky enough to be able to buy both of them for Sam and Johnny Delahaye. They're both nice horses. Vincenzo Mio is a sharper hurdling sort of horse, will probably come to hand a bit sooner, whereas Art Marisque is a future chaser. He's in the mould of physically a masterminded type of horse. Not saying he is masterminded, but physically he's a chaser. So again, we want to look after him a little bit this year with the future in mind, but they're both really nice juveniles to be running very soon.
How about Verac? I know he's a 4-year-old, but he's already won a novice hurdle for you. So
yeah, he's a nice horse. Again, he's not a novice, unfortunately. He won in Pau in January, then he won for us. He's only started in Newton Abbot. Probably start off in a hurdle race, and again, he may be chasing quite soon.
And just a different tack, different sort of horse here. More horses for the future, if you like. A couple of them. Firstly, Port Mellon, who we've looked at today. He looks an absolute picture as a point winner for Richard Barber. And you bought for one of your long associated owners, Graham Roach.
He's lovely horse. Aidan Murphy and myself bought him for Graham at Derby Sale 2 years ago. Lovely big scopy horse then, and you always dream they're going to make nice horses. He went to Richard, ran the 2 point-to-points, won them both. And we like what we see. It definitely win over hurdles, but whatever he achieves over hurdles will be a bonus. It'll be a smashing chase one day, but lovely horse with a lovely attitude.
Over on the far side on Blueberry Hill, pressed on the near side now by Sumhawk. In third is Princely Con. They're racing inside the last 150 yards. On Blueberry Hill, the leader from on the near side, Sumhawk. A break of a few lengths, then to Table Tips and Draco staying on, but up towards the finish on Blueberry Hill, and Kevin Power will win.
Another horse with a lovely pedigree for prolific owners of yours, including John Hales, is on Blueberry Hill. He's a son of Flemingsforth, who's already won a very valuable bumper in Ireland.
Yeah, he cost a few quid at the April sale, but he's a big chasing sort of horse. As you say, he won a bumper. 4 people own him in a syndicate, which makes it easier when they're expensive. Basically, we've decided we're not going to rush him this year. He's a big horse. He's only 4. And, you know, he'll go novice hurdling, probably run sometime towards the end of November, and we're going to sort of look after him a little bit with a view to hopefully making a really nice chase. And I don't think you'll see the best of him until he does jump a fence.
We'll be very much looking forward to seeing what happens this year. I know there have been a lot of changes in your yard, but actually they've been fairly gradual changes. But for everyone watching at home, it seems like a new era, a new season for you. I've come down here before at this time of year, and there's been there's a certain sense of pressure. Do you think this year things are a little bit different? You know, have you got a different approach? Is there sort of a sense of excitement and anticipation about in a different way?
It is. Yeah, you're always under pressure doing this job, but, you know, we're in a different generation now. You know, the stars of the past have all gone. We've got lots of nice young horses, a new team. As you say, we've got a new assistant, we spoke about that earlier, and a new team of jockeys, but that's... Life is always evolving and teams always change. We're just looking forward to this season and the next few seasons, trying to build up some really nice horses and try and win as many big races as we can.
So those are your main goals. Have they shifted slightly away from, obviously you were champion trained for a long time, And has that kind of changed this year? Outlook less on numbers, more on big races, or doesn't it work?
Well, I mean, we've got the same number of horses in training as we've had the last few years, and we had a great season last year, won some great races, great load of prize money, and hopefully we can do the same again. And I always think if you're in a position January, February, going into Cheltenham, or out after Cheltenham, that you've got a chance of winning the championship, you try and win the Trainers' Championship. But I think this year will be incredibly hard because we've made a slower start. We're not in a hurry. Nicky's got a fantastic team of horses, and there's some very good trainers with a lot of good horses. I think it's going to be extremely competitive racing this year, which is for the good of the sport. It's as popular as ever, and you know, people don't tend to believe you don't get up in the morning just because you want to be champion trainer. I've been very lucky to be in that situation, you know, 7 times. I never ever dreamt when I started I'd be champion once, and I don't get out of bed and do this to be champion trainer. We just love bringing on beautiful young horses and winning nice big races, and if the championship comes along with it, it's a bonus.
Do you think, though, now that, you know, you've mentioned some of the big guns that have moved on because they've retired, do you now look back, you've had time to reflect and think, boy, they were some years, that golden era?
They were, and very, very lucky to have them, and yeah, they were fantastic, and probably never ever have a team of horses together at one time like we had. It was just in Neptune, Collonges, Masterminded, Big Bucks, Denman, Corto, go on and on. They were incredible horses, and to get their team like that would probably be impossible. But
for so long.
For so long, and they kept on going, and you know, we kept those horses winning. But you know, we started off with some good horses, Seymour Business, Call Equiname, Flagship, Uberalis, all run in the early days, and we got another nice crop of followed. And at the moment, you think you've got Conti and Sarkander and a lovely team. You know, the good horses have come along. It's just a matter of finding them. But to have a magical team like those was special, and I feel very lucky and very privileged to have had them and enjoyed every minute of it.